This is the one many have named Mother Mary, the Mother of Jesus the Christ. I will read to you today from my little book of wisdom, 10 Teachings for One World. This is the 6th teaching, and it is Be with what is real. What remains when thoughts and feelings are no longer believed, when they no longer matter? You're still here, right? Nothing really changed, and yet everything changed, because your relationship to life changed. Before, your thoughts and feelings were seen as primary and important. Now they fall into the background, and the rest of life becomes the foreground. As with the optical illusions you have all enjoyed, where the foreground suddenly becomes background, everything looks different, and yet nothing actually changed, only your perception. When the lenses of perception are no longer clouded by thoughts and feelings related to your human self, then it becomes obvious who the looker, the real witness of life is, and what is false and what is real. The problem with thoughts and feelings is that they do not accurately reflect reality, and often they have no connection whatsoever with reality, although they pretend to. In a sense, thoughts and feelings create a parallel reality, one that contains the you that you think of yourself as, although that is all that you is. It is just ideas about you, mostly images and stories. This parallel reality exists only in your mind, and not even in other people's minds. It is a made-up reality that shapes and determines your experience of reality to the extent that you believe this imagined reality. For example, if you believe you are unattractive, then you feel unattractive, and you're likely to spend a good deal of your time trying to change your appearance in an attempt to fix how you feel about yourself. Some of the things you do might be felt to help temporarily, but you cannot really fix an idea about yourself by changing something on the outside. You can only change an idea about yourself by changing your relationship to that idea. The problem is not that you are unattractive, but that you believe you are unattractive. All of your efforts to change your appearance and your feelings about it would be unnecessary if you didn't believe the thought that you are not attractive, or if that thought didn't matter to you. Then what would you do with your time and energy? If spending time trying to be better looking were fulfilling, then doing this wouldn't be a problem. However, not feeling good about yourself and then spending time trying to fix that, which cannot be fixed on the outside anyway, is not fulfilling. Doing these things does not bring joy or peace, only the opposite. So what is the point in doing them? They can never truly satisfy, and that's the problem with believing the mind. It presents you with problems that are false issues, and solutions to those problems that will never satisfy. Life doesn't have to be spent in such ways. It can be spent in more fulfilling and joyful ways. But how will you find out what is possible if you're busy trying to fix imaginary problems and the feelings that stem from them? What if thoughts and feelings don't matter? Within the human condition, thoughts and feelings matter so much that people are willing to die and kill for them. Giving so much weight to thoughts and feelings is responsible for the suffering on this planet. What I'm suggesting is moving beyond the human condition and the suffering by moving beyond thoughts and feelings. I'm talking about a way of being that is as different from the usual way of being as a butterfly is from a caterpillar. The next phase in humanity's evolution is a phase in which thoughts and feelings are seen for what they are, and so they don't matter. They are disregarded. I'm not talking about repressing feelings, as often happens within the human condition, but not creating feelings in the first place by not believing the thoughts that cause them. If the thoughts are not believed, then the feelings are not experienced. And if feelings are experienced, they're seen for what they are, reflections of a mistaken idea, one that was taken seriously when it should not have been. Imagine for a moment what it would be like if someone who was angry at you disregarded that anger, or if you disregarded your anger. How would that change your relationships? What can disturb the natural state of peace that the evolved human is capable of? Only a thought can ever disturb that peace. Only a thought. Only something as insubstantial as a thought can bring war and terror into human interactions. Once you become a butterfly, you see the absurdity of giving so much power to thoughts and feelings. There have always been ones who walked the planet who saw the absurdity of this. They were and are your spiritual teachers and the masters who founded the various religions. They all taught peace. What has happened to this teaching of peace? It's been corrupted by the mind, which claims that peace is impossible, and worse, unsafe. This is the big lie that keeps people stuck in the suffering of the human condition. Peace is possible, and it is even possible right now in your world, but it starts with you, within your own heart, and then spreads to others. How can you know the truth or trust it if you haven't discovered it for yourself by living as if your thoughts and feelings don't matter? Will you give your thoughts and feelings power by believing them, or will you disengage from them and discover the peace that passeth all understanding? Only then will you know peace. Once you learn to disengage from your thoughts and feelings, all that's left is to be with what is real. This is the basis for a new life as a butterfly, a newly awakened human being. Once the false and unreal or illusory is disregarded, all that's left is what is real. What is real? Look around. What do you see and touch and feel and smell and taste? That is real. What you experience through your senses is as real as it gets. Without your senses, there's no world to experience. Although consciousness still exists, so consciousness is also real. These things, sensory experience and consciousness, make up the world of the butterfly. Yes, thoughts and feelings exist within experience, but they are understood to be what upholds the illusion of a suffering self, struggling against life. Sensory experience and consciousness cannot produce suffering, only joy. So when your focus is on sensory experience and consciousness, suffering is impossible. Without suffering, the joy, peace, and love of your true nature shine through, because they're no longer obscured by the reality made up by thought. Thoughts and feelings have become background, while sensory experience and consciousness have become foreground. This new way of being and perceiving is marked by joy, peace, and a sense of having come home. For our purposes, I'd like to define anything that takes you away from what is real as unreal, and anything that comes from what is real or brings you more in touch with what is real as real. Given this, the products of the mind, thoughts and feelings, are unreal, while joy, peace, love, courage, patience, fortitude, wisdom, intuition, inspiration, and some types of motivation are real. Be with what is real means give your attention to what is real. Whatever you give your attention to becomes real to you. So if you give your attention to what is unreal, thoughts and feelings, then these will seem real. They become your reality. On the other hand, if you give your attention to sensory experience and consciousness, then what is real becomes your reality. You become aligned with the truth about life rather than caught in illusion. It's obvious enough what it means to give your attention to sensory experience. But what does it mean to give your attention to consciousness? And who is it that can choose to give attention to consciousness instead of something else? That can only be consciousness, since consciousness is the only thing that exists. Everything is consciousness. Everything is made of the same thing. In this game of life, after being lost in the illusions spun by the mind, one fine day, consciousness becomes aware of itself as consciousness. It wakes up to the truth. Language falls short in describing the truth about who you are. I'm using consciousness to refer to what is conscious and aware. This consciousness is the great mystery. What is conscious and aware? Whatever this is does not have a color, a gender, a personality, preferences, or even a body. It is not even a what or a who, because it's not a thing that is separate from other things. Rather, it is all things. Consciousness is who you are, and who everyone else and everything else is. It is easy to experience consciousness. You cannot not experience it. Consciousness is what allows you to be conscious and aware of your existence. So when I say turn your attention to consciousness, I simply mean become aware that you are aware. Notice what is conscious and aware. Notice what notices. Turn the spotlight of your attention onto attention itself. What is it that is aware and conscious of existing? Notice this. This is what is real. What happens when you turn awareness in on itself is that the sense of who you are gets stronger. You experience who you are more strongly. So becoming aware of awareness is critical in overcoming the human condition. The more you become aware of who you really are, the easier it is to see who you are not, and you will cease being fooled by the egoic mind. You are experiencing consciousness through the sensing mechanism that is your body, so consciousness may seem to be located within your body. When you say, I am conscious, it really feels like you exist inside your skin. However, if you examine this more closely, you will discover that it only seems this way. Consciousness is both inside and outside your body and has no boundary whatsoever. And yet it seems like your consciousness, your awareness. This is confusing to the mind, and the mind will never understand this. But there are many things the mind will never understand. This paradox that you are both an individual and not an individual is at the heart of the great mystery of being. You are manifesting as an individual and as that which is beyond this individual, and so is everyone else. What is beyond you and beyond others is, of course, the same. There is actually only one consciousness manifesting in a multiple of ways in everything that exists. Only one. This great truth is the teaching known as non-duality, which means not two. Oneness is the truth behind all of existence, which is acknowledged by every mystic and religion. This truth is undeniable except by the mind, which cannot comprehend this and doesn't want to see the truth. Everything in this universe is a manifestation of the same thing. When two people or two nations fight, oneness is at play on both sides, playing the various roles necessary for conflict. Does oneness therefore like conflict? Conflict is one way that oneness is exploring life, through two-ness and through two people or nations hating or loving each other. Oneness wishes to have every possible experience, even conflict, so it creates worlds wherein it can have these experiences. Oneness loves to create, so it manifests all manner of things and experiences. You are extensions of the Creator, which allow it to create and experience within this physical world. And when you shed your personhood, your physical body, you continue to exist and create in other dimensions. Everyone and everything is inseparable from oneness. It is you and you are it, just as surely as wetness is inseparable from water. So when you see something, consciousness sees it. When you experience something, consciousness experiences it. This is how it is meant to be. When you give your attention to thoughts and feelings, you have a human experience. When you do not do that, you have an experience of pure consciousness as it lives through your body. Once you have awakened from the human condition, you remain for a time within a human body while knowing yourself as consciousness, free of the limiting illusions of the mind. This is what a master is, someone who lives as consciousness while walking on this earth. He or she is in the world but not of it. He or she has become a butterfly. This is the future of all humanity. When you give your attention to consciousness, you are merging your attention with its source. Your attention is no longer co-opted by the mind. Your awareness is pure, no longer clouded by illusion. Therefore, your awareness can experience life purely without the influence of the mind. Consciousness's experience of life is that of joy, awe, wonder, love, and peace. When you are filled with gratitude for the gift that life is, you are experiencing what pure consciousness naturally experiences. Life untarnished by the mind and purely experienced is exquisite. This is the reward for discovering the truth. It is the great treasure that is meant to be found by each and every one of you. By being with what is real, you get a taste of this pure consciousness. The longer you're able to stay with what is real, which is a matter of being very present to life, the more familiar you become with the oneness at your core, and the more it begins to live your life. You give your attention to what is real because what is real is the ultimate reward. Although it can take a long time to realize that what you've been looking for lies in this direction instead of in the directions that your mind points you toward. When you are done looking everywhere else, you finally become willing to look right here and now at what is real and true in front of you. And then you find it, the peace that you always knew in your heart was possible. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I am at your service.